Hello everybody, Steffi here from The Makers. Welcome to our needle felted peacock make-along. This is the beauty that we will be making today together. If you've got the kit, maybe you're using your own stash, but this is basically the bird. And it's got a bit of sparkle on there as well. As usual, everything comes in our kit to make the project, and the kit looks like this. It's a small kit, and on the back of our kit booklet it always shows you what's inside. It includes needle felting needles as well, and our eco wool mat, and of course the step-by-step instructions. We're going to open this together in a minute, but for now I just want to say that yet again you're watching this as a pre-record. Huge apologies, hopefully this will be the last one for a little while, but always things turn out differently than you expect them, so I can't actually say hello individually to anybody because obviously you will be there on a different day than I'm here today. And but I'm really grateful for all your support, for watching us, for giving us the thumbs up, signing up to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, please do tell your friends about it too, and let's get many more subscribers and many more happy hours of needle felting. If you've never needle felted before, this is a super easy project. It involves wrapping wool around a pipe cleaner, but there's also some basic shaping, and this fantastic tail of the peacock is actually achieved through a very special wool top that comes in the kit. Alicia, as usual, will be supporting this stream when it actually goes live on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and that would be the 24th of May, and then it gets repeated on the Thursday the 26th of May at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page. And if you don't know that we've got a Facebook page, our Facebook handle is www.themakers.co.uk, and please do share your makes with us on our you can tag us on our Instagram account, which is at the makers, or tag us on Facebook, which is at themakers.co.uk, or join our Everyone a Maker Facebook group, where we have a private group where we share our makes with each other. Our makers makes, I may add, so you do need to be committed to the makers to join. And yeah, I suppose that's all the social media covered. But first of all and foremost of all, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now I've got 2 of these, and I'm going to go to the overhead camera to show you what's inside the kit. Oh no, before I do this, no, I must first of all tell you that you are in to win a prize if you're watching this live on the 24th of May 2022 at 1 o'clock British Summer Time. That is PM, 1 o'clock PM British Summer Time. Or if you're watching this on our Facebook page on the 26th of May. Did I say June earlier? I meant May. May. British Summer Time at 7 p.m. And the prize that you can win is as follows. Tell us by popping your comment onto the stream. Tell us if you have ever met a member of the royal family or one you would like to meet. Tell us if there's one you would like to meet. Maybe tell us why, that is always nice. And maybe tell us who you have met, and maybe also the circumstances. They could potentially be quite funny, important, or very special indeed. Right, overhead scene, here we come. This is the bird you're making, and this is the kit that I'm using to make the peacock with. And of course, if you don't know, the peacock is actually a royal bird. So there are some birds that are deemed royal. They belong to the Queen of Great Britain. One of them is also the swan, a kit that is on our plan to make, and hopefully will be executed very soon. Right, instructions, as I said, full color step-by-step instructions, tells you at the front what you need, and we also have a tape measure on the left hand side of all of our instructions. Apologies if you've heard me say this loads of times. And then step-by-step instructions all the way to the very end. I have run this many times as a workshop, this particular peacock. In fact, I think the first time I ran it was at the Kirsty Alsop Handmade Festival, and lots of people had beautiful peacock birds pinned to themselves. I think that's what I did. I can't quite remember actually. Yes, I think I did. I definitely did a flamingo one. I show you, we have a kit for that as well. Right, there we go. That's our eco wool mat. So this is the tool that you need to use. And then also here are the felting needle coarse, 1 coarse and 2 medium. This is all the wool that you get in your kit, and you do need a pipe cleaner. So I'm going to keep all of this out. You've also got a little pack here that has got wisps of Angelina fibre in it to give the bird a bit of a sparkle and to sort of imitate that iridescent look that they have got. So first of all, I am going to look at the instructions because I will try and follow them as best as I can. Now, the first step here is to teach you how to make a basic shape. So if you're watching this and you've never made a basic shape, this is a really good way to learn. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tidy, or not tidy, but I put away the things that I'm not using to one side. I have got a mat here that I've used before, so I'm going to keep that one with a sticker on it safe. You can, however, take the sticker out. If you've never needle felted before, which does happen if you come across our channel here, then what I want you to do is take your coarse felting needle out. You should identify that in our kits as the longer needle, but if not, sometimes we might put the color coded one in there and it should have a white top. And all I want you to do is stab into your felting mat, going all along. So you have the 2 mats on top of each other, sandwiched on top of each other, and just keep stabbing all along it so that you can hear the needle hitting the table. You should also notice sort of a crunching noise, so it makes that sort of very satisfying crunching noise, which I think is probably the most addictive feel and noise that you can get in any crafting. So this is the thing that, I don't know, needle felting is very therapeutic, and it's really lovely to keep stabbing a needle into wool. Once you've done this loads of times, the 2 mats will have fused together, so you can force them apart, but they're actually quite happy staying on top of each other, which is perfect. So the next thing you're going to do is, as I said, you're learning how to make a basic shape. The cream colored wool that you've got in front of you, if you've got our kit, is our lanolin rich core wool. Absolutely love this because it's already wanting to be a 3D shape. Sometimes you find things like vegetable matter or VM. If you ever come across that phrase, that just means that there are tiny bits of grass in there. The wool is washed, albeit cold washed, which is why there's some natural lanolin still present in the wool. It makes your hands feel nice and soft when you work lots with it. And what I want to do now is I want to roll this into an egg shape. And so I'm rolling it up from one end to another whilst I'm tucking the sides in. And when you get to the end, you want to tease it out as much as you can, so you get lots of thin layers going over the top, and keep shaping that until you have the last bit of wool physically fitting over your shape. So if you squeeze this a little bit and roll it in your hand, it will probably already stay close because that's just the nature of the lanolin rich core wool. That might not be the case with other wool. And then you take your felting needle and rest your shape onto your felting mat, and all you're going to do is stab. If the shape has not closed up yet, stab into it to close it up, and then give it a few stabs all around to firm the shape up, but also to tuck in any wispy fibres. Now, if you've rolled this really tight, you might actually struggle to get your coarse felting needle into it. So instead of using your coarse, then you go to your medium needle. How do I know to change to a medium needle? If your needle starts bouncing, like this, for example, oh, that was the same one, this one, it bounces and you can't really sort of get that crunching going, then go to a slightly thinner needle, which in your kit would be the medium one, and then you can work on your shape. Every time you stab the needle is where the shape reduces a little bit more, and you need to go in and out in a straight line. That is the only rule when you use a needle to keep it from to stop it from breaking. And if you put any pressure on the needle, as in bending pressure. It will bend first, or maybe it will snap straight away. But once it's bent, you can't unbend it because it's literally inflexible steel. And the next thing is it will just snap. Once you've made the size of an egg shape, it doesn't need to look pretty because it will be completely hidden inside the bird. You can put this to one side. I'm just going to have a quick show you this on the camera, and you can see where I'm going with this, because this is going to be inside the bird, fitting and snugly into there to build that big bulk of the body there. I want to tell you a couple of other things from us. So you have got your last chance to get your or our limited edition Jubilee Mouse kit, and the Jubilee Mouse has been obviously designed with the forthcoming event of the Queen's Jubilee in mind. It's a very patriotic mouse with 3 colored balloons in red, white and blue. It's also wearing a little Union Jack waistcoat, which is also in the kit, or basically the fabric is in the kit and you make it fit the mouse. So that's your last chance now, come in the last week of this being available. Also your last chance this week is to get the subscription box that makes our little owl. There you go, little owl. There it is. It's life size, and it's got posable feet, so you can make the feet tucked under, or you can make them stretch out. Sometimes they look quite funny when they're marching along, but that's basically the little owl, which has been very popular and is still available if you want to get your hands on our subscription boxes. We don't tie you in a contract. You can unsubscribe anytime, and in your first subscription box you get a full set of tools as well. Also, our bee queen, no, I always say it wrong, the queen bee fairy is still available. Now the fairy subscription boxes can also be bought as a one-off, cost a little bit more, but if you just fancy that bee, we've just had a World Bee Day, and of course bees are really important and very popular makes at the moment. So you might fancy this one. She's got very beautiful wings, which you're making yourself as well. Everything included in this kit as well, and in the fairy boxes you always get a needle and a felting mat as well. Our third subscription box is our surprise box with juicy fibres in there, and I can't show you what's inside. However, if you look very closely, there will be a surprise box reveal this week, so check out Facebook and Instagram. I think it might actually only be on Facebook, and then you can see what's in our box this month, which is themed street party, of course. Right, let's crack on with the peacock. Oh, maybe what? Oh, I know. I've specially shown, specially uploaded this Jubilee Mouse flyer here because Alicia made this a couple of weeks ago, and I keep forgetting to put it onto the list of thumbnails here. But here it is, the Jubilee Mouse on its way to you with the helium-filled balloons, ready to join you in your celebrations. Right, I'm going to crack on now with the peacock. So I have got, now I need my pipe cleaner. Now these are what we call our extra strong pipe cleaners. The reason why we call them extra strong is because they don't flop. So you when you hold them at one end, at one far end, they stay completely straight. They are, however, not extra strong in that they do break if you keep bending them back and forth. It's really hard to explain what extra strong refers to, but we've tried other phrases and they just don't seem to sound right. So what you need to do now is you have got a smaller quantity of white in your kit, and I'll show you now the technique of how to wrap wool around a pipe cleaner. You only need a small amount, so you will have some left over. Put this to one side. To tease the wool out to make a nice thin strand, just sort of bounce it back, bounce it along a little bit, and then you need to find the end of the pipe cleaner, establish your wool on it by holding it first of all with one of your hands and then wrapping it flat like a ribbon and very thin around the end of the pipe cleaner. It's a little bit hard to see the white wool on the white pipe cleaner, but I promise you I'm putting it over the pipe cleaner to create a layer. And then what I want you to do is you're going to bend this in. Once you've wrapped it by about 2 centimeters, you're going to bend the tip in so that you've got a covered bend here. This bend here is covered with wool, and then you're going to go over it again with a little bit more of the white wool. What you have just made is the white beak of the flamingo. And then you can neaten this up, get rid of the excess wool, and just make sure that you let the wool sort of wind around the pipe cleaner so it disappears and is now neatly tucked away. So this is now a white covered pointy end. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start adding another layer, but this time in the blue. If you're teasing the wool along the grain, you get already a part that wants you to sort of tease it away. By the way, these are wool bats, B-A-T-T-S, nothing to do with a flying bat. And they're basically great for 3D shaping, but you can also use them for wrapping of your wire, because it makes it look less mummified, if that makes sense. So again, you're starting to wrap the wool by holding it against the pipe cleaner. This time you're wrapping, but you're leaving a little bit of the white exposed, which is about 1 centimeter, I would say. And then you're going along the pipe cleaner. This is now becoming the head and the neck of the peacock for about 10 centimeters. So at this point you either need a tape measure or you do it by eye. Sometimes people have got really good judgment when it comes to measurements, so it's about 4 inches if you're an inches person, or you use the instructions, which have got the tape measure here on the left hand side of every single page, and when you think you're nearly there, you can just hold it against it. Oh, still a bit to go. There we go, going around the pipe cleaner. I'm actually going back over it again as well, because the thickness of the neck needs to be about it eventually needs to be about, I'm just trying to read ahead, about 1 centimeter for now, so 1 centimeter thickness. So I haven't achieved that yet, so I'm going back over it again to make that happen. Here we go. So now I've got a end of the pipe cleaner wrapped in blue with a little bit of white poking out. Haven't needle felted yet, but what you are going to do now is you're going to bend this part in, the top part in, which will make the beak and the head of the peacock. Very scrawny at the moment, very skinny, but just to show you where we're heading with this, you can see that's where the peacock will have his head and his neck coming from. Right, so that's bent in, and now you've got to wrap it a bit more. If the white wool will sort of disappear because you're overspilling with the blue, you can quite easily expose it again by stabbing into the head, or into, yeah, it's the head, right from the front, and stab the blue wool away so that the white is visible again. Right, but for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more of the blue around my peacock's head and neck, because I need to build it up so that I don't really know. So it will help here to bend the head in a little, about 1 to 2 centimeters if you're beginning. Oh no, if I've just covered that with a white beak. So I'm adding a little bit more wool. Next, build more blue layers onto the lower neck of the bird. Peacocks have quite thick necks. The closer they get to the closer they get to the body, so the neck widens as it goes gets closer to the body. And once, what you will find when you start wrapping the wool and it becomes layered up a little bit more, it doesn't want to sort of like just stick to itself anymore, and you're gonna have to start using your felting needle to felt it down a little. Now there is a way of doing this, especially if you're needle felting close to a wire. And what you should do is stab at a shallow angle so that you're not hitting the wire directly, or stab into it but go past the wire. And obviously you can only do that if you've got enough wool built up on there. otherwise you will stab into the wire. And just give it a few stabs. If you're stabbing away, then also the wispy bits get tucked inside the neck. If you stab straight in, they come out at the other side. So it is definitely better to sort of stab along the wire rather than straight into the shape at this point anyway. And that will secure the wool against your pipe cleaner even more, so that there shouldn't be any wispy bits sticking out now. Now what we're going to do is you're going to work from the opposite end of the pipe cleaner, and you're measuring about 10 centimeters down from the end of the pipe cleaner. I'm going to do this with my instruction here. So where I'm holding it now is where the bend is, and I'm just going to give it a little bend in, because then I know that's where it is, because I need to free up my hands. You need to free up your hands because you need to get your special wool that makes this wonderful effect of the peacock bird's tail. And this is actually our space dyed Australian Merino. I'm just going to hold it up. It's actually worth seeing it. This is our Cornish Seaside, that's what it's called. Australian Merino space dyed wool top. And the reason why it's called space dyed is because it has got sections dyed like this rather than strands going along. So a wool that is multi-stranded in the colors is that they have dyed separate wool strands and then put them together, whereas this one was one white strand and it's been dyed in sections, so that's called space dyed. This particular type is amazing for peacocks because it's got all the colors in there. However, in your kit you might get it slightly differently distributed, so you will have maybe more of the purple in it and less of the green, or vice versa. So work with what you have got. The main thing is that you get plenty, so you can make a really lovely big bushy tail for the peacock. And I'm going to go back to the overview scene so I can show you how this is done now. Don't worry about which way the head of the peacock is pointing right now. What you need to worry about is you need to put the bend of the wire into the middle of the top, so that you've got two equal lengths side by side or on top of each other, whichever way, and then you need to pinch that shut. So you're going to now twist that pipe cleaner. Now, as I said earlier, make sure that you twist it, but don't go crazy on it, because it does break after if you are twisting it too much. And you're going to continue twisting that pipe cleaner along the other parallel running pipe cleaner, so the remaining pipe cleaner, and you've got your tail sticking out like this at the moment. The bird's head is completely the wrong way around, but I'm not too worried about this because you can easily adjust that. And so now your bird should look like this. At the moment you've got these still split open, and that will remain for now. Just for those who need to know what's happening, these will be spread out into literally a semicircle and then felted on top of each other. So at later on you will have to decide which color is facing forward, whether it's in my case here the green bluey color, or whether it's the purpley blue color. So one will be facing forward, one will be facing back, but it will be different colors. So you can decide still which one it will be, because you can just twist the tail around. Right, I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to have the more vibrant colors showing forward, and the less vibrant colors here at the back. And so the next thing you need to do now is you need to get your egg back from wherever you've put it, and it now needs to fit inside the bird like this. So even though it might not be the exact wonderful fit, you can sort of squish it down a bit and make it fit by just putting it here. The pipe cleaner that you've still got exposed is running across the tummy, across the center. So that is also one of the things that you need to remember, that it stays there. And that's one of the tricky bits to maintain. And what you will do is you're going to take off some of the blue wool enough. You enough so that you can stretch it out and fit it exactly. As I said, this is the trick, one of the tricky bits, so that you can fit it exactly around the bird from the bottom going over the top, making sure that that pipe cleaner stays at the bottom and doesn't slip sideways like mine has already. So I'm just going to adjust it. And now you need to fasten this blue wool onto the bird. And what I suggest you do is start by stabbing it on here on its tummy. First, if it doesn't cover all the white yet, don't worry, because we can add more blue. We've still got some left. But if you just stab to the side of the pipe cleaner, you can make sure that at least the pipe cleaner doesn't move again. And the idea is that you stab all of the blue onto the white, so there won't be any white visible by the time you have completed that. So I'm gonna work on this. I'll give you a head start and just go to the large camera again and just tell you a little bit more what's happening with the makers. So I talked about the subscription boxes. Our next live stream is in fact the unwrapping of the subscription boxes on the 31st of May at 1 o'clock British Summer Time. And that is 1 o'clock PM, obviously. And then this will be repeated on Thursday, the 7th, I guess, the 7th of, or is it the 6th? Probably the 6th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. So that's Tuesday, 1st, 2nd. Sorry, 2 days later. The 2nd, don't know what I'm talking about. The 2nd of June, it will be repeated at 7 PM. Usually with the sub box unwrapping, we don't have a competition going, so that would be just to satisfy your curiosity what you get in our subscription boxes. And then on Tuesday the 7th of June, this is where the 7th come in, is the red squirrel. That's a live stream that will also then be repeated on the 9th on Facebook at 7 PM. And then on Tuesday the 14th of June, we will be making the Ladybird Fairy together, which is the June subscription box for the fairy boxes. And just to talk about the upcoming sub boxes, let's get that covered as well. So in June we are making badger cups, 2 of them, and you get materials to make a little nest for them as well. What's super cute about them is that they have these cute little pink paws that are pointing up as they're lying down. We will be doing the Ladybird Fairy, you've just seen a picture already, and the theme of the surprise box is how does your garden grow? So lots of gardening inspiring products in there. Talking about gardening, I will also just remind you that our gardening mouse is now out and available to buy. You will get him with 2 gardening tools. They may vary. He's got a fork there. I'm just going to actually show this overhead because then you can see what you're getting, so it's not confusing. Right, so you get your gardening mouse with a tool that could be 2, but there will be 2 different ones, but they could either be a fork and a spade, or a rake and a hoe, or a hoe and a spade, or a rake and a fork. It could be varied. These are little metal gardening tools, and you also get a tiny little terracotta plant pot with a little bit of colourful wool top in there, which is our flower garden, very appropriate to make a ready-made flower growing in that little pot. The mouse itself has got a little waistcoat on that you will be decorating yourself if you wish. That's optional. You do need some felt tip pens for that. And it also comes with the wool to make this little hat that keeps the sun out of his eyes and off the top of his head. So that's basically the gardening mouse, now available to buy on our website. That's a limited edition, so once they're gone, they're gone. And yeah, just worth mentioning because I think he's quite a handsome chap and everybody loves a pretty looking garden, so let's help him make his look beautiful. Okay, let's go back to the peacock bird. And so I've given you a head start to fasten the blue on, so I'm going to do that myself now as well. Fasten this on, and then I see where I need to add more blue to cover all of that white body. So you're basically now colouring in the egg shape in the blue colour of the peacock. So I'm wondering if any of you have met some royalty. I've got a story of my own. I've never met a royal person. I don't think I have. But I've recently been reading the diary of my great-grandfather, and he spent many years in South Africa in the early 1900s. I don't know, from about, I can't actually, before the Second World War anyway. And he obviously he actually bought a farm out there, and he kept his own animals and lived out in the wildness of South Africa. And of course the language there was Afrikaans. So he once, after he came back to Germany, he traveled all the time. It's quite an amazing story actually. He was a rose oil trader in the end. He traveled to, I think it was in Amsterdam, with a friend, and they were standing in a public place in Amsterdam, and they were speaking to each other, and along came this very posh gentleman, and he said, in Dutch, he said, "I recognize the language, but it's not quite Dutch." And it turns out it was the king of the Netherlands who heard them talk in Dutch, but it wasn't really Dutch because it was Afrikaans. So that's my story about a royal person. Not British royal, and many years ago. But still, it's a story about royal people. Okay, so I'm getting my bird covered. So what I'm noticing now is I obviously need way more here, and I need to just do something about this so that the tail is actually pointing up. So if that is the case with you, put it into the shape, use your fingers to do that, because you want the tail to be as high up as possible, and then just use wisps of the blue wool and felt it into place. So it's always important to come back to the shape that you want it to be, and you can manhandle it quite a bit, because that often helps to see where you need to add or make adjustments. And needle felting is very forgiving, so it's really almost unheard of that you can't put something right if you've slightly gone off pieced with it. So felt that on. Remember, you've got a wire going through there. So stab as close as you can to it, but don't stab right into it. Your needle will not like it. And I'm actually using my coarse needle here again. That seems to be working now with a layer on top. And now I need to address the other side. So we need to now connect the neck to the body. And first of all, I'm going to cover this part up. Again, I'm doing this how I want the bird to be finished, with a finished look. So I'm putting the wool around there. You might have added a lot more blue wool, and you might already have got all of the white covered in the right shape going. This is just what's happening on my project at the moment. With needle felting, by now, if you've done it lots, you will know that everybody's project will be slightly different, so you might have to do different adjustments. But I think it's definitely a universal rule to try and pose the shape how you want it to be, and then adjust it with a needle. Remember, where you stab the needle is where the reduction takes place, and where you're obviously fastening on colours. That's sometimes quite hard for people to get their head around what this needle actually does, because it seems such a strange process. So I'm quite happy with the shaping now, so I just need to cover this part of the body, and at the same time, in a minute, I'm going to connect the neck to the body a little bit more. And then we're, I think, already on the last page. Sorry, I just had to take a closer look at the time, making sure that I'm not overrunning, but we're good for time. We're over halfway in our tutorial, but I think we're also definitely halfway into making the peacock bird. the details can sometimes take a little bit longer than you expect, but that's okay. Right. So I want to make this a little bit more distinct. So I've still got some blue. I need to keep a little bit of blue because I want to mix some Angelina fiber into it. So I'm now putting this to the front of the bird. So layer it on where you want the change to happen. Felt it on, minding the wire inside. And that should be good. How's everybody's hay fever been? My goodness, I have suffered so much. I can even feel it now, even though I've taken a tablet. I think I often get it, not so much when the sun's shining really bright, but more when it's more subdued outside and sort of the threat of rain. I think the pressure brings the pollen down. That's what I always imagine. I might be spouting complete rubbish, but that's what I always feel. It's like that. If it feels a little bit more subdued, the weather, and the pressure comes down, I get very affected by the pollen. Anyway, here we go. All the shaping, as far as I can see, is now complete. And now I'm going to put a little bit of sparkle on the bird. I've got blue wool, plenty of blue wool, way more than I actually need for the Angelina fiber. I'm going to find my Angelina fiber now. This stuff it spreads everywhere, so if you don't want to sparkle for the rest of the day, then make sure that you contain these fibers. Yes, they will definitely somehow get into places where you don't want them to go. Just take a little bit off. You might not need all of it, and take a bit of the blue off. And now I'm just going to mix the two together by laying them on top of each other and just mixing them thoroughly so that the fibers, the Angelina fibers, will get surrounded by the blue fibers. Now the Angelina fibers themselves will not needle felt. So they're not, you can't just felt them on. You do need to mix them into wool to sort of trap them in there and then achieve that sparkly effect in that way. I'm just going to put that on the back of the bird here, lay it out from the front to the back and felt it down. And you can add more, of course. I've got plenty of fibers here still. I've still got blue, but I'm going to put this to one side to not use too much. Sometimes little is more. Certainly with needle felting it is. And felt that down. But of course you can add more if you want to. Just give it a bit of that sort of golden sparkle, golden shine. Right. So peacocks are protected by it being the fact that they belong to the queen, and the same as swans. So it's actually illegal to do them harm because they don't belong to you. Right. Even if they belong to you, you're not allowed to do them harm, obviously. Needless to say. Dear, oh dear, nearly got it there. Right, so now the bird has got its sparkly cover. Probably could felt this down a bit more thoroughly. If you want to make the bird smoother right at the end, or even now, if you want to take more time, then go down to your medium felting needle, and that will take care of it. Just trying to find my medium felting needle. There we go. You will see that you can make a lot, can make the surface a lot smoother. And of course, if you are a complete perfectionist, you might have to invest in fine needles to make it even smoother. Or if you just like that look, you don't have to be a perfectionist. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to address this tail. So the next step, it's really, really important that you do your very best to stretch out this tail into a semicircle. And when I say that, I literally mean like a fan. So you're going at a right angle this side, and you're going at a right angle on the other side. And you're doing this with the front and the back at the same time. Now these unruly wispy ends here at the top will actually be trimmed down because we do need some of this wool to also decorate the bird a little bit more. So I'm doing this, switching over the sides, making sure there isn't a gap, and you're literally spreading this out so that it's a semicircle, literally a semicircle. Okay, so that is one of the things I think where things can go wrong. And then what you need to do is you need to lay your felting mat underneath like this, and now you're going to use your felting needle and you're felting along these spread out fibers just to fasten them on a little bit and making them a little bit stiffer, because felting makes the fabric a lot stiffer. That if you remember, it's the same with your woolly jumper. If you put it in the hot wash, it becomes felted and therefore a lot much more of a tight fabric, much to the dismay to those who need to wear it, because it probably won't fit anymore. So make sure that you move your felting mat along, so you step into the felting mat whilst you're felting the tail down. If you've got one of our earth-friendly felting mats or even a multi-tool, you can use all of that. I'm just looking if I've got anything here. I certainly have got a bigger felting mat which I could show you. Oh gosh, oh dear. Hope I haven't just knocked the overhead camera, have I? No, it looks okay. So felt into the fan. If you've got a larger mat, you might as well use it. You will also have to remember a lot more. You've got to lift this bird off the mat, so that might be a disadvantage. If you've got a clover felting tool, there it is, you can use that too, but even more important to lift off this fantail. You can felt this from both sides as well. Always making sure that you maintain that really round shape. So once you've felted this down, so that when you actually bend the wire up, it makes that right angle fan, then you can start trimming the ends to make them neat again. Now I know some people don't want to trim them because they like it really big, but we do need to use wisps of that wool top to add more decoration to the bird. They have a very similar fan to their tail fan on top of their head, much smaller obviously. And so I want to add that, and also we're going to put a little bit of chest decoration or neck decoration by using this. The things that we still need to do is we need to add the eyes, we need to add that little fan at the top, and we need to add the decoration here. But what I'm going to show you first of all is how this looks once you've felted it down. So now, because the wire should be felted quite well onto the bird, if that is not the case, you can certainly just stab it a little bit more so that it stands upright. And if you have to cover it with a bit more blue wool, then do so. The idea is that that tail will definitely stand at a right angle rather than be flat on the ground. Of course, they also walk around with their tails flat on the ground, and so maybe you want to do that version where you don't even spread it out. But when they spread their feathers out on the tail, it's usually like a big round fan, and it looks really amazing. I like that part. And on the back it looks like this, so the colors are slightly different. And all you need to do now is, and I'll show you this maybe on the large camera, you need to have some scissors. I'm just using big scissors here, but you can use small scissors. And all you need to do is just trim the edge by going around in that semicircle. You can make it a lot smaller if you want to, or keep it nice and big. And these trimmings you need to keep. That's the thing. These trimmings we're not putting away anywhere, you're keeping them. And that has neatened up the tail. You might even be able to tease it around a little bit more. Yeah, so that's how far we got with the bird now. And I'm going to go back onto the overview camera in a minute, but before I do this, I'm just going to tidy this away. I want to tell you some other bits and pieces. Our summer retreat. We have still got some spaces left, mostly in the tent village, which means that you will be in a bell tent, and there will be camp beds in there as well. That's a new development, so that is something that we haven't done before, but there will be camp beds, so you're not sleeping on the floor, you're sleeping off the floor, but it is still not glamping. It is camping, most definitely. You can use all the facilities from the big house, which are very close by, or you can use the outside showers, which actually are lovely because you get a shower with a view. Very private and so on. And you will be making Eric the Blood Axe Viking, or another large figure of your liking. So we're using the basis of making a figure, but you can decorate it into, if you want it to be a gnome, or if you want it to be something else, you can do either of that. Right. So there are still places available. Email us info@themakers.co.uk, and as soon as I get a chance, I will be going round the bell tents to show you what they look like and how far they are from the amenities. The problem is that the venue is so busy at the moment. There isn't a single day when there isn't somebody here at the moment. So I'm having to wait my time, and please be patient with me. Okay, so I'm going to the overhead camera again. And I pull back. These are the wispy bits that I've got left. You don't need very many, but you do need some. And now I'm going to look at the instructions, because I know I'm going a bit rogue probably. Yes, 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 yes. At least I've stuck to the right section. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, you're going to take. You need for the peacock, you need two separate projects that you make from these wispy bits. One is the kind of imitation of tail feather on the top, like a headdress, and the other one is to decorate the chest. So what I suggest is, this is different from the instructions. Take a wisp off that has got sort of the nicest colors that you want, that you can imagine to be like a mini fan. So I'm going to put this to one side, and then the rest of it you can now needle felt onto the neck of the bird, just for a little bit of, you know, they have these really iridescent colors, so you can felt this onto the bird. Maybe use your medium needle for this. Just wisps, so just to give it a bit more of a, I don't know, just a bit more decoration. Felt this on. Got to be careful not destroying the beautiful tail that you've made. Felt this on. Maybe you know somebody who really loves peacock birds. I mean, they are very, very stunning. They're just very noisy, but they are very stunning. Maybe you live next to somebody who's got peacock birds, so you'll know all about the noise. So just felt a little bit of the wool in there with to your liking, just to add a bit of colour onto the bird there. And you can use all of it if you want to. And now the only next bit, which is quite tricky, is adding the eyes. And the reason why it's quite tricky is because there's not much wool to stab into, as there's mostly wire. So you need to give your bird, first of all, a white tiny little disc on the side of the head. So I've just shortened the fibers a little bit. What will happen is, once you start felting it onto the head, so once you find somewhere where you can actually stab into with a needle, I would suggest don't stab too hard, because you don't want to push the fiber straight out to the other side. So it's you're using the needle in a very controlled way. But get a little white disc going. I've shown you this trick before, but if you've got rogue fibers and they don't want to get stabbed in, then just twizzle them up around the tip of your needle, like you would twizzle spaghetti on a fork, and stab them in. So hopefully I haven't stabbed into the other side. Let's have a look. No, haven't. So that's good. And then once you've done that, you are going to add a tiny, tiny little bit of black in the middle. So that's even going to be more tricky. Tiny little bit of black. If you wanted to, you could also just use a black Sharpie and just quickly make a dot. That is an alternative if you're really struggling to get the black down, or any sort of black felt tip pen. But if you do get the black down, then again, don't push it all the way through to the other side. And you want a little black dot sitting on a white dot like that. Now the challenge is to repeat it on the other side so that the eyes are on the same level. So what I suggest you do is just get a little bit of white, secure it best where you think the other eye is, and then have a quick look, because you might have to adjust it. So get it established first, because you can, at this point, you can easily pull it out if it's completely wrong. And then look at the other side. So it's definitely further back, this one. So I need to bring it forward a little bit by stabbing it in the back. And then felt it down a bit more. Do the spaghetti trick. Here we go. And that's not bad actually. And then add a tiny, you get all this black only to put the tiniest wisp of black onto the eye. So something else for your stash, yay. We love adding things to our stash. And felt the black into the middle. Oh, I'm quite impressed with myself. I think it requires concentration. So the eyes are not bad. They're pretty much on the same level. So he's now got eyes, and now we need to give him his fantastic imitation headdress to the tail. And for this, you've got these fibres that are that you've put to one side. Make sure that they're running in one direction, and then all you're going to do is lay them lengthways onto the head of the bird and felt down just the center part onto the back of the head of the bird. So you might have to sort of tuck the fibers inward, because you're just felting right into the middle of that strand that you lay down, but it will probably be too wide for the head. So just pull the fibers into the middle and then flatten both together so that you can even stab into it, so that they are become one. Basically, the two halves become one bigger part. Do the same at the front. There. Do what you did with the tail. Spread them out a bit. So you've got like a wheel, half wheel. And then use your scissors, but I think I'm going to use finer scissors this time. And just cut, as you did with the tail, the top, so that it looks more like a fan shape here. And that will correspond with the tail. And that basically is the peacock bird done. Give him a few more stabs here or there. Add more decoration if you want. As you've got a wire inside, you can bend him and pose him with the neck tucked more upright. You can still refine the shaping. You might have to adjust the fan because you've been working on other parts, so that might have come out a bit of, might have just come out of shape a little bit. So you can adjust that again. And if you feel the need to add more Angelina fibre, do so. If you feel the need to decorate the bird a bit more, he's got a bit of a white pipe cleaner bit showing here, so I still got some blue left, so I'm going to add a little bit more just to perfect him. And you can do all of this with needle felting. You can do a lot of adjustments right at the end still, because that's just what needle felting is about. It gives you lots of opportunities to improve the work and correct it, change it, and add the final finishing touches at any point. There we go. That's the flamingo. Not the flamingo, it's not a flamingo, it's a peacock. But that's a good reminder. I want to talk about our flamingo kit as well. Right, so there's the peacock bird that I have made whilst you were making maybe yours, ready for a beautiful display. Maybe you have a peacock party to go to, maybe somebody really loves peacocks. Really simple project, suitable for total beginners. I have taught this as a workshop. If you want the bird to stand more solidly, then you have to stab the tummy flat, and then he will just stand flat on his chest. Remember, there's a wire in there, so avoid that under all circumstances. But because there is a wire in there, you can also push the wire in a bit, and then he will sit flat now. And what I was talking about is we have got a flamingo brooch kit. It's similar size to this, but obviously it hasn't got a massive tail, and they look really pretty if you fasten them onto you, or maybe onto decorate something else like a bag, or maybe you're wearing it on a hat, maybe as a fascinator, maybe at a wedding, maybe there are flamingo themed weddings and you want to make loads of them for all of the guests to wear one. I think they're just such wonderful summer birds with such a bright splash of color that pops out at you. So that is a kit that we have got available as well. And as summer is here, it's sort of hiding occasionally, but in general it's here. I also just want to tell you that we have got a beautiful summer wool mix, which looks like this. Reminds us of sweet peas, but definitely of all the summery colors that you find maybe in your garden and surround yourself with. Remember that you can still get your fairy bundle. We have 2 fairy bundles simultaneously available at the moment. So if you're looking for fairy decorations, over 150 single items in each box, then this is the one to get now. Fairy bundle 3 and fairy bundle 4 are available still on our website, and we are still raising funds for the Ukraine. So if you purchase one of these little sunflower field kits, it's actually a pack, hasn't got needles or tool felting mat in there. We give £5 of each kit to the charity, which is the humanitarian appeal charity. I can never remember what DEC stands for, but it is something to do with disaster. That's for sure. Anyway, they are legit charity and you can look them up. And very soon we will be announcing how much money we have raised for that charity. But this kit is still available as well. Right, I think that's all for me for now. Have a lovely remainder of the week, whatever might be left, whether you're watching this on Tuesday or Thursday or any time in the future. Remember to give us the heads up, share your Peacock makes with us on Everyone a Maker, our Facebook group, or tag us at The Makers on Instagram or at themakers.co.uk on Facebook, and watch out for our by the time you will be watching this, I'm pretty certain that we will be in the full flow of our Robin Artman needle felting kit. Very exciting, so exciting. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Have a lovely summer ahead. But I will see you the following week with the unboxing of our subscription boxes. Take care now. Bye.